zombies rising from their graves, blood-drinking vampires condemned for all eternity, and humans locked in a struggle between heaven and hell. For thousands of years, humankind has told stories of encounters with strange, soulless creatures. But are these merely myths, or do these beliefs have roots in scientific fact? They attack, drink blood, and vanish without a trace. In many ancient traditions, blood forms a connection between our world and the realm of the dead. Certain beings, avatars, are believed to have the power to restore life to the deceased. What kind of power would that require? Might it be the power of extraterrestrials? Millions of people around the world believe we were visited in the distant past by beings from other worlds. What if it's true? Could ancient aliens have influenced our history? And if so, do earthly stories of the undead have extraterrestrial origins? Thebes, Egypt. On the west bank of the Nile lies the Valley of the Kings. In 1922, archaeologist Howard Carter discovered the 3,000-year-old tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. When he opened King Tut's burial chamber, it was the first time in over 3 millennia that anyone had seen an untouched pharaoh's tomb. Inside were the young king's personal possessions, meant to accompany him into the afterlife. The walls and ceiling were adorned with illustrations from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, a collection of spells to guide the soul through the dangerous trials before rebirth in the next world. In this underworld, demons and monstrous beings awaited. The spells explained how to pass these terrors and be reborn. King Tut, like many other Egyptians, was mummified. Vital organs were removed and sealed in jars. Egyptians believed that once in the underworld, the body could regain movement and speech, and the soul could return to it. To them, the tomb wasn't just a final resting place. It was a gateway, sending the deceased back into the cosmic cycle, eventually becoming a star in the sky. Mummification didn't begin in Egypt. Embalmed remains from Chile and Peru date back to 5000 BC. Why did ancient peoples preserve bodies after death? Did they truly believe they would return, body and soul, to the earth? And if so, what had they witnessed in life to inspire such a belief? Throughout history, mankind has consistently believed that souls journey to the stars after death. Could this idea have come from extraterrestrials? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that the techniques used for mummification, like much ancient knowledge, were given to our ancestors by guardians of the sky, perhaps flesh and blood aliens. Tests on Tutankhamun's remains confirm he was the son of Akhenaten, the controversial pharaoh often depicted with an elongated skull. Both Tutankhamun and his sister Meritaten also appear to have similarly shaped skulls. In Paracas, Peru, archaeologists found hundreds of elongated skulls from around 300 BC. Such findings raise questions. Were ancient people imitating beings they had encountered, possibly extraterrestrials with elongated heads? If the practice of skull elongation was meant to mimic beings of great intelligence, then perhaps the belief in preserving bodies for the afterlife also stemmed from witnessing something extraordinary. Maybe they saw advanced beings preparing for long journeys through space, misunderstood as a form of death, and tried to emulate them in the hope of one day being reanimated when the gods returned. The origin of the zombie. The word zombie may date back to around 500 BC in Central Africa. Ancient Africans believed that a person had 2 souls, the little good angel and the great angel. After death, the soul lingered near the grave before departing. Sorcerers could steal this spiritual essence, creating a soulless, animated corpse, a zombie. Stories of the reanimated dead appear in many ancient cultures. In ancient China, the Zhangshi were stiff corpses that came alive at night to prey on humans. In Norse mythology, the Draugr rose from their graves to haunt the living. Burial practices like heavy gravestones, spikes, and beheadings were meant to prevent the dead from returning. In Haitian voodoo, which evolved after the 1500s, priests perform rituals that supposedly create and control zombies. These creatures are not independent monsters, but rather enslaved corpses serving a zombie master. Might this strange power over life and death have come from otherworldly sources? Ancient astronaut theorists propose that extraterrestrial beings could have communicated through shamans and priests, granting forbidden knowledge. Raising the dead. One famous biblical example appears in the New Testament. Jesus of Nazareth resurrecting Lazarus after 4 days of death. Such miraculous events suggest the involvement of extraordinary powers. Could these powers be extraterrestrial in origin? Vampires and blood rituals. From ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia to Central America, stories of blood-drinking creatures persist. The Zapotec in Mexico worshipped Camazotz, a bat-headed, bloodthirsty deity. Throughout the ancient world, blood was considered the life force, connecting the living to the dead and possibly to the gods. Hindu folklore tells of the Vitala, spirits that possess corpses. The Indian goddess Kali demanded blood sacrifices. In North America, the Cherokee feared a demonic, liver-eating entity. Again and again, cultures speak of immortal or resurrected beings who feed on human life essence. Could these myths reflect extraterrestrial beings stranded on Earth, sustaining themselves through human blood? Legends like Lilith, the Jewish night demon, share attributes with vampires. Blood, the cosmic fuel, may have been central to lost rituals and alien practices. Judgment Day and Resurrection. In Judeo-Christian and Islamic traditions, a final judgment day will come. After Armageddon, the dead will rise, and souls will reunite with bodies. Ancient Mesoamericans also believed their feathered serpent gods would return to restore order. The Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of Enoch, and many other ancient texts describe a final reckoning. Could Judgment Day be a distant memory of a future event? Extraterrestrials returning to evaluate their human creations? Might this be the day that ancient aliens return to Earth, fulfilling prophecies across many cultures? Near-death experiences. Countless near-death experiences report a bright light, tunnels, and loving presences. These commonalities appear worldwide and across time. The Greek philosopher Plato wrote of a soldier's journey beyond death, viewing rewards for the virtuous and punishments for the evil. Such stories hint at cosmic cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Hinduism and Buddhism describe reincarnation and liberation through a cosmic wormhole in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Could near-death experiences represent glimpses of interdimensional travel, suggesting that death might be a transition rather than an end? Extraterrestrial origins of life and death. Modern science teaches that life arises from pre-existing life. If life on Earth is part of an unbroken chain, who or what started it? Ancient astronaut theorists argue that extraterrestrials may have seeded life on Earth, gifting us not only genetics, but also beliefs about the soul, the afterlife, and the return of the gods. The myths and legends of undead beings, vampires, zombies, and resurrected souls may not be simple superstition. They may be echoes of a truth passed down from another world, messages left by ancient visitors. If so, what awaits humanity at the end of life? Perhaps not extinction, but revelation. The knowledge of our true earthly and otherworldly origins,